Good evening, Stephanie. So what brings you here today?
Hi, Madeleine. Well, I had a really stressful day at work, and I guess I'm a little, I guess you can say, stressed out, a little concerned, and I guess I don't want to say scared. I think I want to say that I think I'm more overwhelmed than anything. That I really have the right word to even like describe it.
And what do you feel makes you feel that way?
Well, how I previously told you, in the HR department, I'm the only HR person there. HR manager resigned a few months ago. We still haven't found a replacement. I haven't been able to find an actual intern to help me out, not even with recruiting. So today, I think was just like the peak of it, where I just told myself that I needed to learn to just leave work, at work, and when I come home, just come home to like a fresh state of mind. Um, we had a really bad termination, but before the actual termination, what ended up happening is that I had interviews back to back to back. I was giving an offer when somebody, comes into like the conference room and just interrupts like the actual offer, and basically they let me know that somebody gets hurt. In the actual monthly meeting that we had a few weeks ago, I specifically let everybody know that an employee or an associate or a supervisor or somebody in HR or even, you know, anybody else in upper management can call the actual MBI clinic, which is who we use for workers' comp injuries, to basically request an Uber ride to have the associate get picked up from the actual work site, to basically get dropped off at the clinic, and from the clinic get an Uber back to the actual work site. So they still, come and interrupt when I've already, made it clear that anybody can, basically take care of that. It's not something hard to do. But on top of that, what ends up happening is that once I'm done with my offer, I receive a call from MBI. So one of the nurses lets me know that I guess they failed to basically, give him the drug test. They discharged him and everything, but they failed to give him the actual drug test. So they called him and they called the associate. He did not answer. So then basically our policy states that if they don't take the drug test, since it's part of our policy, then basically they're terminated because they're refusing to do it. And it states that if there's any kind of refusal, then basically, it can proceed to termination. So point of it all is that I try to give the associate a call. He does not answer my phone call. At this point, I don't know if he's going home, if he's coming to work, or exactly what he's planning on doing. Like, we don't know anything. He actually had put in his 2-week notice, so his last day should have been this Friday, which is I believe it's the 13th, 14th. Point of it is that he obviously refused to go back to the clinic because he had already, basically, gone too far, or, he was almost at work. But the thing is that we offer the Uber service to him, so he didn't have to drive his own personal car, but he chose to drive. So basically, he ended up showing up, refused to go back to the actual clinic to take the test. I told him that it was his choice, to drive. When we did offer the actual Uber, he was really upset, and he was all like, well, it's not like I'm the one, doing drugs or anything like that. Like, it was just like, I'm not gonna go waste my time. And like, I just at that point, I just kind of, took a deep breath, and I explained to him that it wasn't that we believed that he was doing drugs, but he needed to understand that it was part of the policy. He refused to do it, so I basically told him that even though he had put his 2-week notice, that if he's refusing to basically, go through the actual drug test or go back to the clinic to take the drug test, he was going to be terminated. So he was upset, and he was like, well, fine, whatever, and my last day's on Friday anyway. So he didn't go back to the clinic. He ended up just going to the shop, picking up his stuff, and basically that was, what, ended up happening. But, I think that was kind of like the peak of it, like how I kind of described like my stress, or me being overwhelmed, because I think that I have so much pressure under me that sometimes I feel like I'm really like, that I'm treating people differently without wanting to, because I'm so stressed out, so that like my answers or to their questions reflect on like how I feel. Like, I don't want to be rude, but it's just like overwhelming that you have to repeat the same thing over and over to these people, and they just don't understand, like, and they don't get it. So, I mean, I guess I'm kind of drifting topics, but 401k, we just had the whole transition for 401k. In the meetings, I specifically gave them directions. I told them where to find the paperwork. I still have them, like, basically come to me for the same repetitive questions. And sometimes it's frustrating because I don't have the time to, like, give them the time to go over everything in detail, when in reality everything's stated on a sheet and it's literally like, in order. So basically, just to make it short and sweet, it's kind of like somewhat of what's going on, this week. But I just think that it's already been a few months since I've been myself by myself that I feel like the pressure is like honestly like, basically in other words getting real. Because in reality, like everybody relies on me. It's maybe not the biggest company, but 250 employees under me, like that's a lot of stress. Like, and I really do feel it now.
It seems like you're overwhelmed by the fact that you have nobody to assist you in all of these roles that you have to undertake, and you've been trying to do so on your own because of your capabilities. You talked about how you've been stressed and overwhelmed. Do you feel like there's a little bit of worry on how you're performing your job in the company?
Sometimes I do feel that way because I do feel like there is this, like, basically that, like, I guess you can say, like, my job is in the line sometimes because I feel like I'm not performing my job 100%. Not that I know, not that I'm not trying my best or that I don't give it my all, but I just feel like I am in such a hurry that, or like in so much pressure that I want to do everything so fast, and instead of just taking it like slowly step by step, I find myself just, doing one thing here, doing one thing there, because if I'm working on something, somebody walks in, they ask me to work on something else. Basically, they, leave. I start working on something different. I remember, I go back, and then sometimes I feel like I don't even, like, basically even know what else I'm supposed to complete when I have so much going on.
So if you were to externalize these two issues that you have, which are pressure and worry, so think of them as their own an entity. How would you view them from an outsider? That pressure that comes to you.
Well, sometimes I kind of like come home, and even though like I want to try to leave everything at work, I kind of still process and analyze like on my own time. Like I'm just like thinking to myself, and sometimes I find myself thinking, oh my god, like did I really like respond that way? Or like I guess what I'm trying to say is like, for example, if somebody comes by and asks me a question, and I guess I'm probably under the the pressure, I'm overwhelmed at the time. I don't even know how to describe it, but like I said, like I go back, I leave work and I analyze. I kind of find myself that, what if I'm being rude? Like I don't know. I know I'm not a mean person. I don't want to be rude, but sometimes I'm just like, do I come off rude to these people? Like, do they see me as a different person now? Like, do they think that like I think that, basically, I guess you can say all of that just because I'm by myself. I'm the next person, since we don't have a manager. Like I don't know. That's like what I think in my head.
From what you're saying, I feel like it's impacting your own belief upon yourself on how you are to other people, your personality, your identity to other people, because you're questioning how you are dealing with your workers, whether it's the right way or the wrong way. Do you feel like there's something that you can do differently in your daily routine to prevent this pressure from coming to you?
I guess I really don't know, but I think that if I would, think of something or try to do something different, I think that the way I would go about it would be to basically just, tell myself that no matter what, the pressure is there. I kind of just have to take things, one thing at a time. If somebody comes by and asks me a question, I'm customer service. In other words, I'm a people pleaser. That's what my job is. So I need to understand that at that time, they come first. I need to dedicate them the time. Basically, I go back to doing what I was doing. If I don't complete it, well, I don't complete it. The next day will come and I can get it done then. But I guess, like I said, like sometimes, I just want to do so much. I want to please everybody. I want to help everybody. I want to get work out of the way because there's just so much that I guess I don't really know how to like balance.
How to balance. So if say tomorrow you go into work and you could completely schedule your things differently, what would come first in your schedule?
Well, the thing is that like I try to schedule everything the day before to basically, have everything set in line. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that I don't really have a priority for the day. My day comes, it could be as random as can be, or it could be because I already have meeting schedules, interviews, or offers that I already scheduled. But these interviews or these offers that I schedule are done the day before. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if I'm in an interview and somebody walks in, oh well, I can't do anything about it. They'll have to come back some other time when I'm not in an interview or I'm not busy or in a meeting or whatever it is. So I guess you can say that for tomorrow, since tomorrow's Thursday, the first thing that comes on my list is to basically complete any kind of work that I need to, basically complete that I didn't finish today. So then tomorrow morning when I get there at 6:30 in the morning, that's the first thing I'm going to work on. At 8 o'clock, we always have a production meeting. So on Thursdays, I always give a report out. So basically, and the production meetings is where I let, plant manager and all supervisors know exactly how many openings they have, where I'm at in terms of hiring, how many terminations I had the week before. So even though that same day I do have, interviews, offers to give out, whatever it is, obviously my list is going to change. So then come Friday, that's my next thing on the list, make sure that I have everything ready to report out again in the next meeting to know exactly how many people are going to start for orientation the following week on Monday. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So it seems like your job is always changing day by day. So it's difficult for you to manage things differently so that you could avoid that outside problem, which is pressure. So for next week before you come in, I would say throughout your day in a journal for the week, jot down the pressures that you had each day. When you finish by Friday, we're gonna try to gather the ones that were more consistent throughout your week. After that, we can always try and go back and see what are your actual duties. What are you doing too much of and what are you doing less of, which can mean in yourself or in the work field as well. After that, then that's when you will start breaking down that pressure problem to be able to minimize it and prevent you from coming home this way and causing all that worry in you. And rather than being a worrier, try to see it as a work worry so that it doesn't affect your personal life.
Yeah, so speaking of that, I actually do have something already. So it's basically, I don't want to say it's a journal. I honestly just linked out. I forgot the word of it, but it's basically my organizer. It's my planner. So it's, I open my book, by day, by month, whatever it is. Every day I jot down all the important things I have to do, what I have to do throughout the day. Whenever somebody comes in and asks me, hey, I'm going to need this verification, letter for whatever reason, an example, I'll write it down. If I need to go back and check on something, if an associate, needs any kind of, change on the taxes and I need to send the form, whatever it is, I write it down. I write everything down that I need to do because if I don't write it, since I have so much going on and everything's different every single day, then basically I'm going to forget. So in order for me to, keep track, I try to be as organized as I can. I try to, keep, everything, track so I know exactly what I've completed. So as I'm done doing all these certain tasks that I need to do throughout the day, I'm like highlighting what I've done. What I don't get to accomplish, I basically pass it over the next morning and I write it down for the next day. So that's kind of my way of, completing, everything that I need to do.
Managing.
So going back to your original, suggestion, if you see my notebook, like I do tons of a whole bunch of different things that you never did I would think that I would have to do. An example, flu shots are coming around. And it's just really frustrating because if I would know that I needed to do these things, I've only been in that company since, maybe a year, 8 months the most. I started February 2017. So if I would have known, I would have done this a long time ago. So the reason why, I was able to, find out about flu shots or that I needed to schedule something was because it was brought to my attention. So what do? I email the HR manager in Mountain Top and she basically tells me, oh yeah, we usually do this. Like, did you guys do it last year? And it's just like, yeah. And I tell her, do you mind giving me some guidance on this? Because I'm not quite sure. Susie, which was the HR manager before, used to take care of this. And so my point is that Janine, the HR manager in Pennsylvania, was no help. What I ended up doing, since I have access to Susie's inbox or mailbox, I went and searched Walgreens because that's the pharmacy that basically came to our facility to give out the shots. So I was able to find information there. I took initiative. I emailed the person, introduced myself, let them know that we were interested in wanting to schedule some time for them to come give associates flu shots. It's in the works. It hasn't been completed. So at this point, I don't even know if it's going to happen. October is right around the corner. So basically, I'm learning on my own. I'm figuring things out on my own, things that I didn't even know that I could do or that I had to do. So, it's just a whole bunch of different things every single day that I never think that I would come across.
Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned, you have an organizer to keep you on track so that you remember your tasks for the following day. But like I mentioned earlier, think of it as your personal journal rather than your work journal. You're still tying that problem to you. Think of this being you, this is your problem, this is still together. Mm-hmm. What we're trying to do is to make this a separate thing to where you could see it from an outside and prevent it from taking control over your emotions and your feelings. Mm-hmm. and finding the solution to it. In order to do so, you have to get apart from the problem. So think about things that you do positively and negatively, or that you consider to be negative, and reflect back on that so that you could find a way to find a solution, which could be a lot of different things. It can be you getting an assistant, or you being aware of what the pressure brings to you, and how it keeps your mind running to an extent to where you're doubting yourself, your potential, your potential for your job, and your personality overall, and how you're reflecting your feelings to your workers. So for next week, try to keep that personal journal apart from your work journal,
Okay.
and then we'll talk a little bit more about it and see how that feels.